The sky above the alien world of Zolaris was dark with smoke and fire. Cities that had once gleamed like jewels now lay in ruin, twisted metal and shattered glass littering the streets. The enemy faction, known as the Dravari, had attacked without warning. Their ships had descended from orbit, and now the planet trembled under their relentless assault. Among the chaos, one figure moved with precision and determination, a human soldier named Ethan Cole. Ethan had never expected to be on Zolaris. His mission was supposed to be simple: protect the peace and ensure no civilians were harmed during evacuations. But as the smoke cleared one morning, intelligence reports reached him. Princess Alara, the daughter of the ruling alien queen, had been captured by Dravari raiders. Ethan felt a surge of determination. He had seen the destruction the Dravari could cause. He had seen lives lost in seconds. And now, one of the galaxy's most important lives was at stake. He knew that a soldier could not just wait for orders when a princess was in mortal danger. The forest surrounding the Dravari's temporary base was thick and dark. Twisted alien trees stretched high into the smoky sky, their leaves blackened by fire and ash. Ethan moved silently, his boots pressing lightly on the soft ground. Every sound was magnified: the crack of a branch, the rustle of leaves. He checked his gear, a plasma rifle slung over his shoulder, a small blade at his side, and a communicator in his hand. He wasn't alone in his mission. But the other soldiers had hesitated. They feared the Dravari. They feared dying. Ethan did not. Humans had survived against impossible odds before. Humans had always found a way. He whispered to himself, "I won't let her die. Not if I can stop it." The Dravari camp came into view. Tents and barricades were arranged in a rough circle. Guards patrolled with strange energy weapons, their alien eyes scanning the area carefully. Ethan crouched behind a fallen log, observing. He spotted Alara. She was chained to a large pillar in the center of the camp. Her elegant alien form bent slightly as she struggled against her bonds. Her silvery blue skin glimmered faintly under the firelight, and her long hair, black as the night sky, was tangled and dusty. She was beautiful, yes, but also fierce. Ethan could see the determination in her eyes, even through the fear. She was not a princess who would give up easily, but alone. Against the Dravari, her chances were slim. Ethan took a deep breath. He formulated a plan. Quick, decisive action. First, distract the guards. Then get to the princess. Finally, escape before reinforcements arrived. He activated a small energy flare from his belt, tossing it toward the opposite side of the camp. It ignited with a bright blue flash, catching the attention of several Dravari soldiers. They rushed toward the flare, leaving only a few guards near the princess. Ethan ran. He moved faster than any alien could predict, leaping over obstacles and sliding under beams. A Dravari guard spotted him, firing a burst of energy. Ethan rolled to the side, avoiding the bolts, and fired a precise shot from his rifle. The guard fell, unconscious, but alive. Ethan didn't have time for more. He reached the pillar where Alara was chained. "Princess Alara," he whispered urgently, "I'm here to get you out." "Can you move?" Alara stared at him, wide-eyed. "A human? Why? Why would you risk your life for me?" "Because I don't leave people behind," Ethan replied simply. "Can you trust me?" Her instinct screamed no, but something in his calm, confident voice made her hesitate. She nodded slowly. I have no choice." Ethan drew his blade and cut through the chains binding her. Sparks flew as the metal broke. She rubbed her wrists, relief washing over her face. "Thank you," she said softly, almost too quiet for him to hear. "No time to thank me now," Ethan said. "We have to move." They ran together, weaving through tents and dodging Dravari soldiers. Alara was surprisingly fast for her size, keeping up with Ethan as they navigated the camp. But suddenly, alarms blared. Reinforcements were coming. Ethan grabbed Alara's hand. "This way, follow me." He led her through a narrow gap in the barricade, then into the dense forest. Dravari shouted behind them, their voices strange and harsh. Faster, Ethan urged, pushing himself beyond exhaustion. Hours passed as they moved through alien terrain, avoiding patrols and traps. Lara began to relax slightly, realizing that Ethan's skill and determination were keeping them alive. Despite their differences, she could feel his loyalty, his humanity. Something she had never understood fully before. At one point, they reached a river. The current was strong, and the water glowed faintly in the alien moonlight. Ethan held out his hand. "We have to cross. It's the fastest way to lose them." Alara hesitated. The water was cold and dangerous. "I can't swim well," she admitted. Ethan smiled reassuringly. "Then hold on to me. I won't let you drown." Together they plunged into the river. The current pulled them, but Ethan's strength and skill kept them moving. By the time they reached the other side, both were soaked and shivering, but alive. They collapsed on the riverbank, breathing heavily. Alara looked at him with a mixture of gratitude and disbelief. You saved my life, and you don't even know me." "I know enough," Ethan said, smiling faintly. "You're brave, smart, and stubborn. That's enough for me." For a moment, there was silence. It's just the sound of the river and the wind through the alien trees. Alara studied him, realizing that this human was unlike anyone she had ever met. He wasn't just strong, he was clever, compassionate, and willing to risk everything for someone else. But danger was not gone. The Dravari would track them, and the alien world itself was unforgiving. Ethan stood, offering his hand to her. "We keep moving. We have to get you home, to your mother." Lara took his hand, gripping it tightly. "Home? Yes. My mother. She must know I am alive." Together they began their journey back through the alien wilderness. Every step was a test of endurance, every shadow a potential threat. But with Ethan by her side, Alara felt something she hadn't felt in a long time. Hope. As dawn broke, casting pale light across the forest, Ethan glanced at her. "We'll make it, I promise, no matter what." Alara nodded, feeling the truth. In his words, for the first time, she believed that humans could be more than outsiders, more than strangers. Maybe they could be heroes. Maybe, just maybe, they could be the key to saving her world. And so the human and the alien princess pressed forward, stepping into a future filled with danger, uncertainty, and the faintest glimmer of trust, and perhaps something more. The alien world of Zillarys stretched endlessly around Ethan and Alara as they pressed forward. The forests were dense, filled with strange flora that seemed almost alive. Some trees had trunks like glass, shimmering faintly in the pale light. Others had vines that writhed as if sensing movement. Every step felt like walking into the unknown. Alara stayed close to Ethan. Her hands still shook slightly from the trauma of captivity, but her spirit was unbroken. "How do you do this?" she asked quietly, glancing at him as he carefully scanned the surroundings. "You move like the forest itself is part of you." Ethan gave a small, almost shy smile. "Humans have to adapt quickly. Out here, hesitation can get you killed. You learn to trust your instincts." Alara looked at him with admiration, mixed with confusion. It was so different from anyone in her world, so simple, yet so extraordinary. She had expected humans to be clumsy, arrogant, or weak. But Ethan was none of those things. He was brave, clever, and completely selfless. As they moved, the distant rumble of enemy patrols echoed through the trees. Dravari soldiers were searching. For them, Alara's heart pounded in her chest. "They will catch us," she whispered. "They won't," Ethan said firmly. "Not if we stay smart." Led her along a narrow path that twisted around towering trees. The path ended at the edge of a cliff, overlooking a valley of jagged rocks. Ethan crouched and pointed. "We'll have to go down there. There's a stream. We can follow it. It leads to safer territory." Alara looked down and gasped. The drop was steep, almost vertical in some parts. How will we get down?" Ethan reached into his pack and pulled out a rope. "We climb. I'll go first, then help you down. Stay close and follow my movements exactly." She nodded, trying to calm her racing heart. Watching Ethan descend with ease gave her courage. When it was her turn, he guided her carefully, securing the rope around her waist. Step by step, she lowered herself, her hands trembling, but Ethan's steady voice kept her focused. Finally, they reached the valley floor. Ethan exhaled deeply. Good. One step closer to safety. Alara smiled weakly. You make it sound easy. It's never easy, he admitted. But it's worth it. The valley was eerily silent. The only sound the rush of a distant river. They followed the river's edge, keeping low among the rocks. Strange creatures peeked from behind the cliff's small, quick animals with glowing eyes. Alara shivered. What are those? Prey, Ethan said simply. They watch, but they won't attack unless we threaten them. As night fell, the temperature dropped. Ethan built a small fire, carefully hidden from any aerial patrols. Alara sat close to the warmth, feeling a strange sense of safety in his presence. Why do you care so much about me? She asked softly. Ethan looked into the flames, thinking, because no one deserves to die if I can stop it. And because someone has to make sure the right people survive. You're one of them. Alara's eyes widened. She had heard humans speak of heroism, of courage and loyalty, but experiencing it firsthand was different. He didn't boast, didn't seek reward. He simply acted. The next morning, the journey continued. They had to cross the Vecran Desert, a vast expanse of white sand that shimmered under the alien sun. The heat was intense, and the sand burned their feet. Alara struggled, feeling the weight of exhaustion pressing on her shoulders. Ethan noticed immediately. We'll take it slow, drink water, rest in the shade when we can. He handed her a small canteen. This is all I have. Make it last. She took it gratefully. You carry so little for yourself, she observed. Efficiency, he said with a shrug, and experience. You learn to travel light when survival is the only goal. They walked for hours under the blazing sun, stopping occasionally to rest behind jagged rocks. Lara began to understand the human way, always moving forward, always adapting. Not a survivor. Yet here she was, learning from a human how to endure. Suddenly a dust storm blew across the desert. The wind howled, blinding them. Ethan grabbed Alara's hand. Stay close. Keep low. The storm was fierce. Sand lashed their faces, stinging their skin. Alara stumbled, nearly falling, but Ethan caught her. Hold on, he shouted over the roar. We're almost through. Hours later, when the storm finally subsided, they emerged, exhausted but alive. Alara collapsed to her knees, coughing. And shaking, Ethan knelt beside her. You did well, he said gently. We're almost there. Almost where? She asked, her voice trembling. Home, he replied. To your mother, the queen? Her heart leaped. Tears filled her eyes. She had feared she would never see her mother again. But now, with this human by her side, hope burned bright. That night, as they camped in the desert under alien stars, Alara spoke quietly. You are unlike anyone I have ever met. I don't understand why humans are like you. Ethan chuckled softly. We're not all the same. Some of us just choose to do the right thing. Lara looked at him, studying his face in the starlight. You saved my life, but you saved more than that. You gave me hope. Ethan shook his head. No, you've always had hope. You just needed someone to help you see it through. Their journey continued for days. They faced wild creatures, treacherous terrain, and the constant threat of Dravari patrols. Each challenge tested their endurance, their trust, their growing bond. In a dense alien jungle, they encountered predatory plants, large vines that could constrict like snakes. Alara froze as one vine lunged for her. Ethan acted instantly, slashing at it with his blade, cutting it away. Quick thinking, she said, breathing heavily. You always seem one step ahead. I pay attention, he replied. Survival is about seeing what others don't. Lara began to realize that humans were not weak, not in the way her people believed. They were adaptable, clever, and determined. And this human, Ethan, he embodied all of it. One evening they camped near a quiet pond, the water glowing faintly under the alien moon. Alara filled her hands with the cool liquid and drank. I never imagined. Humans could be heroes, she said softly. Ethan shrugged. We're capable of a lot. You just have to meet the right one. Alara smiled faintly, feeling warmth not just from the fire, but from his presence. She had begun to trust him completely, relying on his skill, his courage, and his guidance. But danger was never far behind. The Dravari were relentless. Scout drones flew overhead, scanning for movement. One evening as they rested, Ethan noticed shadows moving in the trees. He whispered, "Urgently, Dravari patrols. Stay quiet." They hid among thick foliage, hearts pounding as the patrol passed by. When it was safe, Ethan exhaled. "They're closing in. We need to move faster." Alara nodded, determination in her eyes. "Then let's go. I will not let them take me again." Together, they pressed forward, deeper into the alien wilderness. Every step was a test of courage, every moment a reminder of their shared struggle. And as they walked side by side, Alara felt a growing admiration for this human who risked everything for her, who faced danger without fear, who acted not out of duty alone but out of genuine care. The journey was far from over. The palace, her mother, and safety awaited, but so did the challenges. The bond between human and alien princess was strengthening with each step, a bond forged in fire, sweat, and trust. And somewhere deep in the forest, unseen eyes watched. The enemies waiting, testing whether their courage, loyalty, and humanity would be enough to survive. Ethan glanced at Alara. "We'll make it together." Alara smiled, a spark of hope in her eyes. "Together," she agreed. The stars above shimmered faintly, and in that light, two unlikely allies pressed onward. Unaware of how much their journey would change not only their lives but the fate of an entire world. The forest finally began to thin, giving way to the distant silhouette of the capital city of Zalaris. Towering spires and glimmering towers rose against the sky, their surfaces reflecting the soft light of the setting sun. For Alara, it was a sight that brought tears to her eyes. She had feared she would never see her home again, and now, after days of danger, exhaustion, and uncertainty, the palace lay before her. Ethan noticed her pause. "It's real," he said quietly. "You're almost home." Alara nodded, gripping his hand tightly. She had learned to trust him completely. Without his courage and skill, she might have been lost forever. But now, seeing her home, she felt a mix of hope, fear, and anticipation. Her mother, the queen, would surely be waiting in. She didn't know how the queen would react to the human at her side as they approached the outer walls of the city. The streets were quiet, eerily so. Guards patrolled carefully, their alien eyes scanning for any signs of trouble. Alara tugged Ethan toward the palace gates. "We must go straight to my mother," she said firmly. "She needs to know I am safe." Ethan nodded. "Lead the way. I'll cover us if needed." They passed through the grand gates and into the palace courtyard. The architecture was magnificent, with soaring arches, flowing water channels, and statues of ancient leaders. But there was no time to admire the beauty. Soldiers and advisors appeared, their faces a mix of shock and suspicion as they saw the princess and a human approaching. Alara raised her voice, calling out across the courtyard, "Mother, I'm home." The gates of the inner palace opened, and from the grand steps emerged Queen Lysera, Alara's mother. Eyes widened in disbelief, and for a moment she froze. Her daughter, alive, and not alone. A human soldier was at her side, holding her hand firmly. Alara ran forward, tears streaming down her face. "Mother, he saved my life," she cried, pointing to Ethan. Queen Lysera's eyes softened, and her usual commanding presence gave way to overwhelming emotion. She rushed forward, embracing her daughter tightly. "Alara, my child, you are alive." Her voice trembled with relief, a rare crack in her regal composure. Ethan stayed back, bowing slightly. The queen's guards regarded him warily. Humans were outsiders. Some distrusted them completely, yet here was one who had crossed the stars and risked everything for the princess. Queen Lysera pulled back slightly, her eyes now fixed on Ethan. And you. Human, she said slowly, her voice a mixture of curiosity, caution, and something deeper. You saved my daughter. Ethan stepped forward respectfully. Yes, Your Majesty. She was in danger. I could not leave her behind. The Queen studied him carefully. There was no arrogance, no self-interest, only honesty and courage in his gaze. And why should I trust you? Because I acted without thought of reward, Ethan replied simply. Because her life mattered more than my own safety. Because some choices are right, no matter the cost. Queen Lysara's eyes glistened. She had heard of humans, and she had heard many opinions, some good, most skeptical. But standing before her now was proof of what humans could be. Brave, selfless, and honorable. Alara, still holding Ethan's hand, added softly, Mother, he risked everything to bring me home. I owe him my life, and more than that, I trust him completely. The Queen's guards shifted uneasily. Not all of them accepted humans. Some whispered amongst themselves, their voices carrying suspicion, a human in the palace. In the presence of the princess? Queen Lysara raised a hand, silencing them. He saved my daughter. That alone earns my gratitude and respect. Her eyes softened again as she looked at Ethan. Perhaps humans are capable of more than I imagined. Alara guided Ethan into the palace. Mother, I want you to see how brave he is. She said he faced dangers you could not imagine. He fought, protected, and never gave up. As they moved through the grand halls, advisors whispered warnings about allowing a human into the royal inner circle. But the Queen ignored them, focused only on the living proof of courage before her, her daughter, and the human who had saved her. Finally, they reached the private chambers. Alara rushed to her mother's side again, overwhelmed by emotion. Could feel the warmth of home, the security of family, and the extraordinary reality that a human and outsider had become a hero in her world. Queen. Lysara turned to Ethan. You are far from your world, human. Yet here you stand, having faced dangers that would challenge even the bravest of our warriors. Why do you do this? Ethan looked at her steadily. 'Cause life is worth protecting, Your Majesty, and some lives, some people, cannot be abandoned. I do not act for glory or reward. I act because it is right. The Queen was silent for a long moment. Then slowly she nodded. You have proven yourself, not just in action, but in character. Lara smiled at Ethan. See? Even my mother recognizes your worth. The Queen's eyes glistened again. I am overwhelmed with gratitude. No. You saved more than my daughter. You saved a part of my heart. My world, my hope. Just then, an urgent message arrived. Scout reported that the Dravari were regrouping nearby, planning another attack. Ethan straightened immediately. We must prepare. They will not give up so easily. Queen Lysara's expression hardened. She had expected challenges, but seeing this human ready to fight alongside them inspired confidence. Then we shall not wait, she declared. We will defend our people. And perhaps there is much we can learn from humans after all. Lara squeezed Ethan's hand. You see, they trust you? No. They are beginning to understand what I have known all along. Ethan nodded, feeling a mix of relief and pride. It was not just about survival now, it was about earning the trust of an entire world, bridging the gap between human courage and alien wisdom. Over the next few days, Ethan trained with the palace guards, showing them new tactics and strategies learned from human combat experience. The alien warriors were strong and disciplined, but humans had a different approach. Quick adaptation, clever improvisation, and teamwork that relied on trust and ingenuity. Alara watched as her mother observed Ethan closely, noting how the humans' methods could strengthen their defenses. He is extraordinary, Alara whispered. Not just brave, but wise too. Queen Lysara nodded. Yes, he has given us more than his courage. He has given us a new perspective. Even among the court and advisors, the atmosphere began to shift. Some of the skeptics began to see the value in the human presence, especially as Ethan shared knowledge of strategy, survival, and diplomacy. Slowly, walls of prejudice began to crumble. replaced by cautious respect. One evening, Alara and Ethan walked together along the palace gardens. The stars above reflected in the still waters of the fountains, and the alien flowers glowed softly in the moonlight. "You've changed everything," Alara said quietly. "Not just for me, for everyone." Ethan looked at her. "I only did what I had to do, the rest. That's your people's choice." She smiled faintly. "Humans. You have a way of inspiring hope without even trying." He shook his head. "No, you inspire me. I followed because it was right, and because I knew someone worth saving was counting on me." Alara looked down, touched by his words. In that moment, she realized something profound. Humans were capable of greatness, not just in combat or survival, but in courage, loyalty, and selflessness. Ethan embodied everything she had ever admired, yet never expected to find in an outsider. But even as peace began to settle over the palace, the Dravari threat loomed. Their scouts would not rest, and their attacks would come again. Alara knew that the coming days would test their courage, their bond, and the trust the queen had placed in a human. The next morning, Queen Lysera summoned Ethan to the council chamber. "You have proven your loyalty and courage," she said. "But now your wisdom is required. We must plan. The Dravari will return, and when they do, our world and yours will depend on your decisions." Ethan nodded solemnly. "I am ready. Your Majesty, I will do everything I can to protect this world, your daughter, and your people." The queen studied him for a moment, then extended her hand. "Then let it be known, you are an honored ally of Zalaris, not just a human soldier, but a protector of this realm." Lara's heart swelled with pride and gratitude. She had survived thanks to this remarkable human. And now, the entire world was beginning to see what she had always known. Humans could rise above fear, prejudice, and danger to become true heroes. Ethan accepted the queen's hand respectfully, sealing a bond of trust, courage, and mutual respect. The path ahead would be difficult, but together, human and alien, princess and soldier, they would face whatever challenges came, united by loyalty, bravery, and the enduring hope that one life saved could change everything. And as the sun set over the palace of Zalaris, Alara knew in her heart that she would never be the same. She had seen the best of humanity, and it had changed her world forever. The palace of Zalaris was alive with activity. Servants scurried through the corridors, carrying messages and provisions. Guards practiced their drills, their movements precise and disciplined. But beneath the surface of daily life, tension simmered. Many advisors and court officials whispered in the shadows. "A human in the palace," they murmured. "How can we trust him? He is an outsider. He does not belong here." Queen Lysera, however, paid little attention to such murmurs. Her daughter, Princess Alara, had returned safely because of Ethan, and the human had earned her trust. Still, the queen understood that acceptance of him by the court would not come easily. Ethan was aware of the skepticism, but he showed no fear. In fact, he welcomed the challenge. Every day was an opportunity to demonstrate not just courage, but intelligence, loyalty, and integrity. The first test came sooner than expected. A Dravari scout ship had been detected on the outer edges of the city. Though the attack was not imminent, it was a clear message. They were being watched, and the Dravari were planning their next strike. Queen Lysera called a council meeting. The room was filled with alien leaders, generals, and advisors, all eyeing Ethan with suspicion. "The Dravari are ruthless," one elder began. "We cannot underestimate them, and yet we have a human here advising our defenses." Alara stepped forward. "Ethan saved my life. He has proven himself beyond doubt. Trust him, as I do." Ethan bowed respectfully. "Your Majesty, members of the council, I understand your doubts. But the Dravari are predictable in some ways, and in other ways, unpredictable. To defend your city effectively, we must combine your warrior strength with strategies that use adaptability and rapid decision-making," the council murmured. Adaptability? Human cunning? One general scoffed. Ethan did not flinch. Produced a holographic map of the city and its surrounding terrain. Here's how they might strike, he explained. They rely on speed and terror. If we fortify key positions and create traps along expected paths, we can turn their strength. Against them, we can also use stealth scouts to track movements and give our warriors the advantage of surprise. The room fell silent. Ethan's plan was simple yet brilliant, leveraging both human ingenuity and alien strength. The queen studied him closely, pride swelling in her chest. "You see," said quietly to Alara, "he is not just brave, he is wise." The council eventually approved Ethan's plan, though some skeptics remained wary. "Time will tell," one muttered. Days passed as preparations began. Ethan worked alongside the palace guards, sharing tactics, teaching them ways to anticipate enemy moves and coordinating patrols. Alara stayed close, observing him at work. She marveled at how easily he earned respect through action rather than words, but acceptance was not complete. A faction of court advisors continued to question his loyalty. They spread rumors that he might betray them, that he might act in his own interest. Lara confronted them. "You have seen him in battle," she said, voice firm. "You have seen him risk everything for me, yet you still doubt him? He is human, yes, but his heart is loyal and brave. Do not let fear blind you." Some guards began to reconsider their views, especially as Ethan's strategies showed results. Patrols moved more efficiently, city defenses improved, and morale rose. Then, an unexpected challenge arose. A group of Dravari infiltrators had sneaked into the city under the cover of night. They aimed to assassinate key advisors and cause chaos. Before the humans and aliens could react, Ethan and Alara were patrolling the northern walls when they detected unusual energy signatures. "They're here," Ethan whispered. "Follow me. We can intercept them before they reach the city center." Alara's heart raced, but she trusted him completely. Together, they moved silently through the palace corridors, tracking the infiltrators' movements. The first ambush was swift. Ethan struck decisively, disarming enemies with precision, while Alara used her knowledge of the palace layout to corner and disable another group. By the time the intruders reached the central hall, they were exhausted, and Ethan was ready. Using a combination of tactical positioning and careful strategy, ensured the palace guards captured the remaining infiltrators without unnecessary bloodshed. Queen Lysera, observing the aftermath, could hardly contain her pride. "You see," she said to the council, "he has not only defended my daughter, but also protected the integrity of our kingdom. His loyalty is unquestionable." Even skeptics had to admit that Ethan's human ingenuity had saved lives and turned the tide of the city's defenses. Despite this success, the queen knew there was still much to test. "Ethan," she said, "we must see if your loyalty extends beyond bravery. Can you lead? Can you guide? And can you inspire trust among those who doubt you?" Ethan nodded. "I am ready, Your Majesty." Over the next week, he trained a mixed group of human and alien soldiers in coordinated operations. His approach emphasized trust, communication, and quick adaptation values sometimes overlooked in the rigid traditions of Zilurus warriors. During a simulated attack, many soldiers were skeptical at first. They resisted the new methods, expecting traditional tactics to prevail. But Ethan demonstrated success through practice. He anticipated enemy moves, adapted to unexpected situations, and ensured every soldier felt capable and valued. Slowly, doubts turned into respect. Alara watched him, impressed. "You're not just saving lives," she said. "You're changing the way they see themselves and each other." Ethan shrugged. "Humans survive because we rely on each other, just showing them how." The final test came unexpectedly. A sudden Dravari strike hit the outskirts of the city. Scouts had misjudged the timing, and now chaos threatened to spill into the palace. Ethan immediately coordinated the defense. "Guard the gates. Split forces into 3 groups. Use the high ground. Keep civilians safe," Lara assisted, relaying his orders to palace guards. Together, they directed the warriors, combining human tactical flexibility with alien strength. Battle was fierce. Dravari soldiers advanced with terrifying speed, but Ethan's strategies allowed the defenders to anticipate attacks, counter effectively, and protect key positions. He personally led a small squad to intercept enemy flanking, maneuvers demonstrating bravery that inspired both human and alien soldiers. By dawn, the city was safe. The Dravari were repelled, suffering heavy losses. The palace and citizens remained unharmed. Thanks largely to Ethan's leadership, Queen Lysera called a meeting of the council the following morning. Ethan has not only proven his bravery, but also his loyalty, wisdom, and ability to unite our people in the face of danger, she declared. From this day forward, he is recognized not just as a soldier, but as an honored ally of Zalaris. Alara smiled, tears in her eyes. You have done it, she whispered to Ethan. You've earned their trust completely. Ethan smiled. Faintly, I only did what was right. The rest, that was up to them. The queen approached him personally. Your courage, skill, and loyalty have saved my daughter and strengthened our kingdom. I am forever grateful. Ethan bowed respectfully. Thank you, your majesty. I am honored to serve Zalaris. The queen's eyes softened. More than service, human. You have shown us what humanity can achieve: courage, loyalty, ingenuity, and hope. You have proven that even an outsider can make a difference. In the following days, the atmosphere in the palace shifted. Even skeptics began to respect Ethan. Some advisors approached him privately, seeking his advice on defense strategies, city planning, and diplomacy. His knowledge, combined with the alien strength, began to shape a stronger, more resilient kingdom. Alara watched the changes, feeling hope and admiration for the human who had risked everything for her. You've changed everything, she said softly. Ethan shrugged. I only did what humans do best: help when needed and never give up. The rest, that's your world's choice. But the bond between human and alien was growing stronger. Alara had learned to rely on Ethan's skill, courage, and wisdom. The queen had learned to trust him, and the palace was beginning to see that humanity, though different, could be a force for good in the galaxy. The Dravari threat still lingered. Our forces were not entirely defeated, and new attacks could come at any time. But Ethan had proven one undeniable truth: human courage, ingenuity, and loyalty could stand alongside alien strength, creating hope where others saw only fear. As Alara and Ethan walked together through the palace gardens, stars reflecting in the still waters, she realized something profound. You are more than a soldier, she said softly. You are a bridge between our worlds, our people, and our hopes. Ethan looked at her. I don't think I'm anything special. I just act when it matters most. That's all humans can. Promise. Alara smiled. No, that is exactly what makes you extraordinary. Queen Lysera watched them from a distance, her heart full. The princess was safe, the human had proven his worth, and her kingdom was stronger for it. And somewhere, deep inside, she knew that humanity and this one human in particular had become a part of Zalaris forever. The palace of Zalaris glimmered under the light of dawn. The city had recovered from the recent Dravari strike, and its citizens were rebuilding with renewed determination. Princess Alara walked through the halls, her hand brushing the smooth walls, every step bringing her closer to a life she had feared she would never see again. Ethan followed quietly beside her, carrying supplies for the palace guards. He had grown accustomed to life in the alien world, learning its customs, languages, and traditions. Yet he remained distinctly human, his courage, resourcefulness, and loyalty shining as clearly as ever. Alara paused at a balcony overlooking the city. It feels peaceful, she whispered, almost as if we've earned it. Ethan stood beside her. We've earned part of it, he said. There's always more work to do, more people to protect. But yes, it feels good. To see hope returning? Alara smiled faintly. Hope I never thought I'd see it again, not after being captured. Not after all the fear. She turned to him, her eyes full of gratitude. "You brought me back, not just to life, but to hope." Ethan shook his head. "You had that hope inside you all along. I just helped you see it through." The palace was preparing for a ceremony to honor those who had defended the city, especially the heroes who had saved it from destruction. Ethan was included, much to the delight of Alara and the quiet surprise of many advisors. Some of the more skeptical officials grumbled, but even they could not deny the truth. The human had saved the princess, strengthened the palace defenses, and proven himself time and again. The Queen Lysera entered the grand hall, her presence commanding yet full of warmth. "Citizens of Zelaris," she began, her voice echoing through the chamber. "Today we honor courage, loyalty, and sacrifice. Today we celebrate those who stood against darkness and showed what hope can achieve." Alara stepped forward, taking her mother's hand briefly before turning to address the assembly. "Among us stands one who is not of our world, one who crossed stars, faced unimaginable danger, and saved my life. He is a human, a soldier, a hero, and my friend." Gasps of surprise swept through the hall. Humans were rare here, outsiders, strangers to most. And yet, Lara's words carried truth and conviction that no one could ignore. Queen Lysera gestured for Ethan to step forward. "Come forth, Ethan Cole," she said, her voice both regal and heartfelt. "You have proven yourself beyond measure. Not only have you saved my daughter, but you have inspired our people, strengthened our defenses, and reminded us that courage knows no boundaries of species or world." Ethan stepped forward, bowing respectfully. The alien council, the palace, guards, and the citizens watched him with a mix of awe and admiration. For the first time, a human was being recognized openly in the royal court, not as an outsider, but as an equal in courage and honor. "You have given your loyalty, your courage, and your wisdom," the queen continued. "For that, you are welcomed as an honored ally of Zelaris. May your bravery inspire generations to come." Lara's eyes shone with tears. She stepped beside Ethan and held his hand. "See," she whispered, "you belong here just as much as any of us." Ethan smiled faintly, humility and pride mixing in his expression. "I never expected this," he admitted. "I only did what I had to do." "You did more than that," Alara said. "You gave my mother back her daughter. You gave our people hope. You gave us a reason to believe that courage and loyalty can cross worlds." The assembly erupted in applause. Aliens of every kind, guardians, advisors, and citizens stood to honor the human who had risked everything for them. Some were still, cautious, but even skepticism was overshadowed by undeniable heroism. In the following days, Ethan continued to work with the palace and city defenders. Together, humans and Zelaris warriors trained, shared strategies, and learned from one another. Alara watched as the city grew stronger, more united. It's more resilient than ever before. But it was not just military preparation that marked Ethan's presence. He inspired people through small acts as well, comforting those who had lost family to the Dravari, helping rebuild homes, and teaching young students how courage and intelligence could solve problems. One evening, Alara found him alone, in the gardens, watching the twin moons rise. "You never rest," she said softly. Ethan looked up and smiled. "Rest comes later. Right now, there is too much to do, too much to protect." She sat beside him. "Do you ever think of going home?" she asked. Humans had their own worlds, their own families. She wondered if he longed for them. He shook his head. "Home isn't just where you are born. Home is where you're needed, where your actions matter. Right now, this is home." Alara felt a warmth in her chest. She realized that Ethan had become more than a protector. He had become part of her world, part of her life, and perhaps something even more. The peace of Zelaris, however, was always tentative. The Dravari had not vanished. They were regrouping, planning future strikes. But with the human and alien alliance stronger than ever, the palace felt confident. For the first time in generations, the people of Zelaris believed in the possibility of lasting security. During a council meeting, Ethan offered advice on potential Dravari movements. They rely on fear, he explained. But fear can be countered with preparation, unity, and courage. We've shown them that we are stronger than they imagined. The queen smiled. You have taught us more than tactics. You have taught us the value of courage, ingenuity, and trust. You have made us better. Alara watched the interaction between her mother and Ethan, feeling a sense of fulfillment she could never have imagined. The human had proven that strength did not come solely from alien power, it came from heart, loyalty, and intelligence. One night, after a long day of training and planning, Alara and Ethan walked along the palace walls, looking out over the glowing city. The air was cool, and the stars reflected in the waters below. Ethan, Alara began softly, you have changed everything. For me, for my mother, and for our people. I cannot imagine my life without you here. Ethan stopped and looked. At her, I never expected this, he said quietly. I only wanted to save you. Alara reached for his hand. You did more than save me. You saved hope, saved faith and courage, and you gave everyone a reason to believe in what humans can do. He smiled, understanding the depth of her words. Then I'll stay, he said simply. If that is what is needed, I will remain. For you, for your mother, and for your people. Tears filled Alara's eyes. You are more than a soldier, she whispered. You're part of our world now. From a distance, Queen Lysera watched them, her heart full. Her daughter was safe, the palace was strong, and the human who had become a hero in their world was finally recognized for his worth. The celebration continued for days. Citizens of Zalaris gathered in the palace square, honoring the heroes who had defended the city. Ethan walked among them, humbly accepting thanks, sharing strategies, and listening to stories of courage from both humans and aliens. For the first time, humans were no longer outsiders in the eyes of the citizens. They were allies, friends, and symbols of hope. And at the center of it all was Ethan, a single human whose courage and loyalty had changed the course of an alien world. Alara stood beside him, proud and grateful. You see, she said softly, this is what humans can do. Even one human can make a difference. Ethan smiled. I only did what I had to, but together, we've changed everything. The queen approached, placing a hand on both their shoulders. You have proven something extraordinary, she said. That courage, loyalty, and intelligence are not bound by species or world. You have shown that humanity can stand alongside us, side by side, as equals. Alara felt a warmth spread through her chest. She realized that the journey, the dangers, the fears all had led to this moment, a celebration of courage, unity, and hope. And as the sun set over the city of Zalaris, Alara and Ethan stood together, hand in hand. Knowing that their bond had changed not only their lives, but the fate of an entire world, for the first time, humans were seen as heroes. And one human, Ethan, Cole, had proven that bravery, loyalty, and the heart to do what is right could cross the stars and unite worlds. Hope, courage, and humanity had triumphed. And Zalaris would never forget the human who had become a legend in their history.